And so we begin. Chapter 2, Bound in Darkness. Lightning feels nothing but anger towards the Pulse Fal'Cie. It had taken Sarah and cursed her with a L'Cie's doomed existence. It is the underlying reason for the purge, and it is an enemy to cut down if she is to fulfill Sarah's final request to save Cocoon. Lightning's aggravation provokes the Fal'Cie into action and attacks her. Saz draws his guns with grim resolve, and Snow joins the battle without hesitation. As they deal a killing blow to the Master, the vestige of flash of light runs the air. They are pulled into the swirling void of chaos where they are bound by an ominous and inexorable... Okay, I can't read it that fast. But that is a summary of what just happened. At the end of chapter 2, you go on into chapter 3.
Sarah! Is this for real?
This must be Lake Brescia? Well, I guess we fell from up there. And the lake turned to crystal?
Help me out here. I mean, did the Fal'Cie do this? How in the world did we end up here?
How should I know?
We're alive. How?
Sarah! No one survives a fall from that high. Not without a miracle. Sarah saved us!
Sarah, listen. It's all your fault. She got...
Hey, 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 hey! Watch out! What did I just do?
You used magic. You used the power of L'Cie. The Fal'Cie cursed us. We're L'Cie now.
Right.
Paradigm System Tutorial. We are actually L'Cie, and with L'Cie comes paradigms, and with paradigms comes the battle system in whole. You can assign characters the most effective roles for a given situation by changing your party's paradigm. You can switch between paradigms as often as you like. First, press L1 to access your party's paradigm deck. Can't do anything else here, can't even go into abilities. Each paradigm assigns specific roles to the members of your party. These roles define the spells and abilities available to a party member, as well as their general behavior in combat. There's a wide variety of paradigms to choose from. Offensive paradigms concentrate on dealing damage to enemies, while defensive paradigms focus on party protection and healing. It is very important to shift paradigms to suit your situation. You can press up and down to scan the paradigms available and see the list of roles that each comprises. Your current paradigm, Relentless Assault, is an offensive paradigm in which multiple attackers coordinate their efforts. The paradigm's 2 Ravagers target whichever enemy the commando attacks, with the goal of quickly filling the enemy's chain gauge in order to dagger it. If you wish to continue using the Relentless Assault paradigm, press circle to close the paradigm deck. If you wish to change paradigms, select a new paradigm with up and down, and then press X. Well, now the fight's on. We're gonna stay defensive. These guys are guests from the previous chapter, and they were really difficult back then, but with the power of L'Cie, they become quite easy.
So we really are L'Cie.
Looks like it.
You too?
Yep. Right here.
Okay.
L'Cie to the last.
Why me? I don't even know you. But you have to go and attack that thing? Just leave me alone. It's your fault. It's your fault, You could have. All of this is your and Sarah's fault.
Watch it!
Sorry.
Everything is gonna be all right. You'll see. Come on. Off we go.
See, huh?
Yep. We're all playing for Team Pulse now.
All right. Data log updated, shops updated. We have a new item in our new option in our menu called Paradigms, and it has four sub options: customize, generate, delete, and battle team. I'm going to stray away from generate because this generates random paradigms. Not really random, but you can select which type of paradigm you want and it auto generates it for you. But I'm going to steer away from that because I like making my own. Customize lets you fully customize a paradigm. So the battle tutorial for paradigms discussed this a little bit, but we start off with two paradigms, a Relentless Assault and a Solidarity. The goal of Relentless Assault is to focus on taking down one target at a time, at least according to the in-game description. Solidarity is about healing and defending while a single person attacks. There are 4 different roles that we can see within these two paradigms. You have a Commando, a Ravager, a Sentinel, and a Medic. These last two I'm not going to focus too much just yet. The Commandos and Ravagers are 2 big roles because they are the primary damage dealers of all the roles in this game. Commando's actually the primary damage dealer, and if I go over here, we can see that if I select an individual character, I can select one role for that character from what they have available. Commando and Ravagers have role bonuses. In fact, every role has a role bonus. The Commando's role bonus is augmented attacks. The Ravager's role bonus is improved chaining. And you can even see underneath or to the right of the help speech, Commando builds attack chains more easily with enhanced strength. Little inaccurate. And Ravager charges enemy chain gauges with concentrated attacks. So these two are the primary ways of dealing damage from this point forward. Commando does increased damage, but it doesn't really work that well with chaining. You sometimes want to increase the chain gauge because, as we discussed previously, the chain gauge gives you a percentage that can apply to a damage multiplier, and higher damage multipliers means more damage. Ravagers are good for chaining in that regard, and you'll see, in fact we saw in the previous fight, that enemies staggered quickly because of the Ravagers we had accompanying lightning. Proper strategy is to balance the roles of Commando and Ravager. You do not have to stick with one role. You do not need to make Lightning only a Commando. You can make her be a Ravager temporarily by assigning a Ravager paradigm for her, and then you can swap to a paradigm where she is a Commando once she can effectively deal damage. One of the strengths of this game is that you can combo paradigms, or combo roles within a paradigm, because each paradigm assigns one role to each character. Lightning can become a Commando or Ravager, Snow can become a Commando, Ravager, or Sentinel, and Vanille can become a Ravager or Medic. And because this is Chapter 3, it's still very introductory as far as mechanics goes, so I'm only going to focus on Commandos and Ravagers. Comboing 3 Ravagers together gives me the Tri-Disaster paradigm. All 3 Ravs combine their attacks, attempting to quickly fill chain gauges. This is the fastest way to chain an enemy, but there are some shortcomings that we'll see. I'll begin in a Tri-Disaster paradigm, and you can change your active paradigm by pressing the square button, and it lights up. This is the paradigm that you start off fights in. And you can change paradigms mid-fight, but the paradigm you start in is the one that's highlighted. We also have some new items. These haven't changed at all. These are the same accessories as previously, same components. Key items, we have Sarah's Tear. That actually, I believe, was from the previous section. Sarah's Crystallized Teardrop. The key items don't really serve much purpose because you don't need them for various events or whatnot, but it is sort of, you know, these are items that you have. And now we have a bunch of things to read through. If you don't enjoy this, feel free to fast forward, or if you're watching live, too bad. Events, I'm not going to read these, but these are the recaps. The 13 days. Day 10, gifts. It would be Lightning's birthday in 2 days. While out shopping for her present with Sarah, Snow slipped away to buy engagement necklaces. He intended to propose to Sarah the very next day. He knew her fate as a lessee, but meant to stand by her no matter what. Meanwhile, Sarah searched for a gift that would help keep Lightning safe during her dangerous work as a soldier. After giving her sister the present, Sarah planned to confess about becoming a lessee. Day 11, proposal. Snow proposed to Sarah under the brightly exploding fireworks, giving her renewed hope for the future. Sarah still didn't know what her focus was and had yet to tell Lightning about her lessee curse, but with Snow by her side, there was no obstacle they couldn't overcome. Hand in hand, they watched the spectacle of lights illuminate the night sky. In Bodum, there is a legend. If you wish on the fireworks, your dreams will become true. So these 13 days, this 13 days tab, by the way, summarizes the events of the 13 days that precede the events of Final Fantasy 13. The current day is actually day 13. This is the day of the purge. So day 11 is what took place 2 days ago. Snow proposed to Sarah 2 days ago. The Bodum vestige was discovered 2 days ago, unfortunately on the same day as the proposal. And 3 days ago, Lightning's birthday was in 2 days, which means, if you can math, that means it's day 12, as in yesterday was Lightning's birthday. And then she ended up getting purged. Worst birthday ever, right? Locales, we have Bodum and Lake Brescia. Bodum. This modest city by the sea is the hometown of Lightning and Sarah, as well as that of Snow and the members of Nora. Known for its relaxing resort-like atmosphere, the location is a popular destination for vacationers. Bodum's largest tourist draw is its annual beachfront fireworks display, but this year's event was ruined by the discovery of the Pulse Fal'Cie within the nearby vestige. The Sanctum quarantined the city on the day after the discovery, announcing its plan to purge Bodum's entire population, along with the hapless tourists, to Pulse. Lake Brescia. Lake Brescia is located near Cocoon's outer rim, directly beneath the hanging edge. Once a bustling center of activity, this desolate area is now home only to monsters that lurk amongst the centuries-old remnants of civilization. The final wave of power released by the falling Pulse Fal'Cie has locked the waters of the lake in solid crystal form, creating a beautiful and unsettling landscape. The Fal'Cie, we have Anima. This Fal'Cie had been hibernating deep within the Bodum vestige. It branded Sarah as well as Lightning, Snow, and the others, condemning them all to the grim fate of Pulse L'Cie. Although it appears Anima was brought to Cocoon in the vestige centuries ago, Sanctum authorities had no knowledge of the alien stowaway's presence. Its discovery and the resultant fear that Bodum's population may have been tainted by its magic spawned the Purge. So, Anima had just been sitting there dormant for centuries, but apparently it just started churning out Pulse L'Cie once people found it. And then we have these things. I believe this actually hasn't even popped up. No, it did pop up. I mean, this sort of situation has arisen. You cannot open a treasure ball when there's an enemy group that guards it. I don't remember that individually popping up. This is a summary of paradigms. The paradigm deck, which I was briefly talking about. And then the enemy intel. We have not completed the entry for white, but that's all white. And then Anima is complete because we've already defeated it. And that's it. I guess we haven't started getting CP yet, but we're gonna start getting that soon.
Trust the soldier to keep her cool through this mess.
Okay, if we don't know our focus, how do we complete it?
I think I saw it.
Saw what?
That is how focus comes down, people. The Fal'Cie, they don't spell it out with clear-cut instructions. All you get is a hazy glimpse. Well, you know, that's what they say. You know, legends and all. Legends. Yeah.
Did you see anything?
I just... It's all kind of foggy, but I saw this big, towering...
What? Wait a minute. Hold on now. Do we all have the same dream?
Ragnarok.
So, we all saw the same dream. We all heard that same voice.
You mean that was our focus? But how are we supposed to know what to do from that?
That's the tricky part. The dream's the only hint the Fal'Cie gives us. Figuring out what to do with it, that's our job.
Okay. We're pulselessy, right? Enemy's a cocoon. So, does that mean that our focus is... Are we supposed to...
Save her.
Say what?
Our focus is to protect Cocoon.
Really? Okay. And why's that?
Sarah told us. Let's do it. We're all in this together. I'm gonna look for Sarah. She ought to be nearby.
I'll come too! Wait!
Jeez. Yeah, that boy can't stay still.
Really?
Crystarium tutorial. I previously mentioned CP, but we haven't even known what the Crystarium is, will be, could be, has been, would have been. Having been l'Cie, the members of your party can now develop their powers, learning new abilities or improving attributes, such as strength, magic, and HP. First, open the main menu. Well, they forcibly opened the main menu for me. The Crystarium is now accessible from the menu. Select it with up and down, and then press X to open it. You'll notice that underneath HP is a value called CP. This is the CP that I was talking about. You didn't see it in the previous menu, but you see it here, and it is here forever. It is here to stay, and everyone has 101 CP, whatever that means. Next, use left and right to select a character you wish to develop. Select Lightning this time, and then press X to confirm. This is the Crystarium, which allows you to develop a character's abilities in various roles. This also is a resource hog and will drain your FPS, especially if you're playing on PC, because reasons. Lightning can currently develop as a Commando or a Ravager. Each has its own path of development. Use up and down to select Commando, and then press X. As you can see, the Ruin Crystal is illuminated. Illuminated crystals represent known abilities. Lightning can use the offensive magic spell Ruin whenever she is playing the role of Commando. Let me emphasize, offensive magic spell Ruin whenever she is playing the role of Commando. Ruin is a magic spell. The crystal next to Ruin is still dimmed, but by extending the line of Crystogenesis to reach it, Lightning can obtain the crystal and its benefits. You can advance the path of Crystogenesis by holding X. Doing so will consume Crystogen points, CP. Character development always requires CP. Go ahead and advance Lightning's path of Crystalgenesis. Press X and the line will extend, gradually consuming CP. Continue holding X until the line reaches the next crystal. I wanted to see how much... Oh my gosh, we have 54 CP left! Okay. You obtained a Strength +4 crystal, increasing Lightning's strength attribute by 4. Abilities can only be used when in the corresponding role, but attribute bonuses like this one apply across all roles. At times, you must direct the course of Crystalgenesis. Normally the line will advance until you run out of CP, however it will stop automatically at branching points, like the Strength +4 crystal you just obtained. To continue advancing Crystalgenesis here, hold X and press the D-pad in the desired direction. You have run out of CP, so Crystalgenesis cannot proceed. To develop Lightning further, you will need to earn more CP. Characters earn CP after each battle. Once you have fought enough, return to the Crystarium to obtain more crystals. You can develop other characters in the Crystarium as well. If you wish to do so now, press L1 or R1 to select another character. When you have finished, press circle to exit. And that's the tutorial. It harkens to the days of the sphere grid, although it's a bit different. In fact, it's very different in that characters can access all of their current roles and level them independently of one another. And your position is not stored. You can backtrack and level up different parts to develop skills that way. So you don't need to spend AP or SP or forget what it's called in 10. But this is the leveling system of 13. It took us 3 chapters to get to this point, but this is the leveling system. As I said, HP, Strength, and Magic remain to be the only main stats in this game, but that's slightly inaccurate because there is another stat. Not much of a stat, but ATB level is a stat, and that will increase at various points. And you can see it in the bottom right, just below Magic. It says ATB level 3. And you also probably noticed that in the previous fight. Lightning now has 3 ATB. She gained an extra ATB segment. In fact, all of the characters have gained an extra ATB segment. I think it's actually a little more obvious if I go to status. Or not. I guess if I go into abilities, you can actually see the ATB. All 5 characters rather, have 3 ATB now. You'll also probably have noticed that all characters have different abilities. If you go to abilities in the menu, all abilities shows all the abilities that these people have. Lightning has Attack, Blitz, Ruin, and Thunder, but she can't use them whenever she wants. She can only use Attack, Blitz, and Ruin while she is a Commando. She can only use Thunder while she is a Ravager. Snow has Attack, Ruin, Blizzard, Frost Strike, Provoke, Steel Guard, but only 2 belong to each role. Vanille has Arrow and Cure, but only Arrow and Cure... Well, only Arrow can be used as a Ravager. Cure can only be used as a Medic. Saz, for some reason, only has Fire and has only the Ravager role, so he can only use Fire as a Ravager. And Hope has Fire, Blizzard, Protect, and Cure, and they can only be used in their respective roles. What else to say? So we have the Crystarium. We can develop each character individually. Each character's commando branches or commando trees look different. This is Snow's commando tree. It looks different than Lightning's. He starts off in the middle and has 3 different branches, one of which is already learned, and the other 2 could be picked up. The Ravager looks different than Lightning's Ravager, which we haven't actually seen. So there's no overlap of Crystariums, meaning that each character develops differently within a tree, within their own trees. So in the end, once everyone has maxed out their entire Crystariums, everyone's ability and stat layout will be different, and that makes for a lot of differentiation between characters, even in post-game, which is one of 13's nice traits, is that you can pick the characters for the situations you need, as opposed to just picking your 3 favorite people and being able to do anything with them. Now, there aren't too many abilities or stats or nodes available just yet, and that is because there is this artificial cap that the game enforces. The Crystarium will expand as the game proceeds, which we'll see as we continue on. For better or worse, we have to stick with this cap. We can't expand it, we can't develop or overdevelop, but that's fine. Because, especially in Chapter 3, there's not too much that we really have to worry about stat-wise. The stat boosts, we do have this strength plus 10 over here, but stats aren't really too nice. I mean, the strength 18 is so good, I'm going to go ahead and grab it right now. But the thing to really prioritize for the most part is abilities, and you can see if you hover over a roll and look on the left side, it tells you how many crystals there are in that roll left to obtain, and the one to prioritize for the most part is ability. So there are 2 abilities left under Lightning's Commando. We have Life Siphon and we have Power Chain. And we'll be trying to get those at some point because those are very nice abilities. I don't think I want to discuss anything else because of possible information overload. So instead I'm going to take a detour to the data log. Underneath History and Myth, Ragnarok. Lightning, Snow, and the others saw a phantom vision of this beast upon their branding as l'Cie. In the dream, they witnessed the creature besieging Cocoon's capital of Eden, but whether this was a glimpse of past events or a vision of things yet to come was unclear. What is clear is that Ragnarok is inextricably linked to their focus. The nature of that focus and what must be done to fulfill it remains to be seen. We also have some extra primers here for Commando, Ravager, Sentinel, and Medic. And then the recap of the Crystariums. I will read these out because, at least the Commando and Ravagers, because these are the primary ones to focus on. Role Commando. Commandos are offensive specialists, employing brutal physical attacks and damaging magic as the tools of their trade. Enemy chain gauges drain less rapidly when charged by commando attacks than when charged by those of other roles. Commandos are at their most effective when working in tandem with Ravagers, who drive chain bonuses upward, thereby increasing the damage dealt to enemies. Roll bonus, augmented attacks. Physical and magical attacks deal extra damage. Allies share a reduced bonus. That does mean they do get a bonus. It doesn't mean that allies do less damage. It means that they do get a bonus, but not as much. I'll talk more about that at some point in the future. Roll Ravager. Ravagers wield powerful magic spells and physicals as well, dealing damage to fire, ice, lightning, water, and other elemental affinities. Or Arrow. Combining different abilities allows them to boost enemy chain bonuses significantly, increasing the damage dealt by subsequent attacks. Striking at enemies' elemental weaknesses will further boost chain bonuses. Roll bonus, improved chaining. Attacks impact chain bonuses more severely. Allies share a reduced bonus. So this is one of my least favorite data log entries because it is pretty wrong. Ravagers wield powerful magic spells and powerful physical attacks, dealing damage of fire, ice, lightning, water, and arrow affinities. I don't know why it says other elemental affinities when the only other Ravager exclusive ability is arrow. Striking at enemies' elemental weaknesses will further boost chain bonuses. That is sort of true. And it is a mechanic that... It is hinting at a mechanic that isn't explicitly mentioned anywhere else, meaning the chaining conditional modifiers. But this makes... This and the overall commando descriptions are part of why people have a common misconception that commandos are physically based and Ravagers are magically based. That is very false. And it is very false because Lightning's Commando even has Attack, which deals physical damage, and Ruin, which deals non-elemental magic damage. Within the Commando role, you can do physical attacks and magical attacks, and they will get increased damage bonuses. So Commando is not a physically based role, it is a damage based role. Ravager is not a magically based role, it is a chaining based role. Now, Lightning currently only has Thunder, which seems to defeat the purpose of this. And I think she doesn't learn Spark Strike just yet, but she does eventually learn Spark Strike. She can learn Water later. Saz, however, does have a strike. Actually, Snow has a strike currently, so let's actually take a look at that. He has Frost Strike under his Ravager role. Physically attack target for ice damage. So Ravagers can deal physical damage, or they can deal magic damage. You don't need to say to yourselves, I'm speccing Lightning magically so I can make her a better Ravager. That is not inherently a true statement because of Ravagers dealing more magic damage. All that said and done, let's go and play the game that I'm supposed to be playing. And I'm going to start off by putting a power wristband on Lightning because she's strong. And since I don't have anything else for the other characters, I'm going to put the Iron Bangle. One last thing I probably should have pointed out. Battle team is grayed out. I cannot change my team members at this time, so I'm stuck with a party of Lightning, Snow, Vanille with Lightning lead. Also, I set the default to Try Disaster. I think I'm going to do Aggression. So these are some paradigms that the game doesn't start off with. The game starts you off with Relentless Assault and Solidarity. I'm going to start an Aggression and use Try Disaster if I want.
We need to find a way out of here. We can worry about everything else later.
Are you still awake? Good. We're going to fight. These are some ghouls. Ghouls are still easy to preempt, and we saw them in the previous chapter. They are pretty weak. In fact, we killed all of them, and we killed the Ghast as well, and that was a really fast fight. I started in Aggression, but I could have done that in Relentless Assault if I wanted. Part of what helped was the AoE ability Blitz, which is only used in the Commando role. If I had used Ravager, I would have been killing things one at a time, which is inefficient. This treasure chest has a Pearl Wing Staff. This is a weapon for Vanille. It increases her magic stat and severely reduces her strength stat. Actually, it slightly increases her magic, but severely drops her strength, which would have been an issue in Chapter 2. But as we can see here, she does not have attack anymore. She only has arrow and cure, which both are magically based. So I'm going to focus on magic for her.
I'll go scope things out ahead. Watch the other.
We have the whites again. These guys can dodge physicals, but they all die to a single blitz.
That's what I'm talking about.
AoE is a really strong thing when you know how to use it well. This treasure chest has 7 chipped fangs.
This just might work.
And this treasure sphere to the side,
Magic may be cursed, but it makes
200
us
gil.
stronger, doesn't it? Was to stop us from putting it to good use. We fight it! Ragnarok! That's the reason we're Lassie. To stop it. To keep Cocoon safe.
Yeah, why don't you give us one reason to believe that? One reason.
Sarah. She said to protect Cocoon. And then she turned to Crystal. That's the proof right there. She completed her focus. That means ours is to save Cocoon. Sarah's fal'C was the same as ours. Our focus has got to be the same. We were chosen to be guardians, to defeat Ragnarok. It makes sense.
What the hell it does? You're grasping at straws, son. Post fal'C are Cocoon's enemies. We just got recruited by one of them. If I were a betting man, I'd put us on the other side.
So Sarah's an enemy too? Well, I don't buy it. We have the power to save Cocoon if we work together and carry out our focus.
The fal'C took Sarah from us, and you want to help it? Whose side are you on?
Freeze! Place your hands behind your heads. You fall off the purge train?
Maybe.
Or are you talking back to me? Huh? Huh?
Nice gun.
Freeze!
Command Execution Tutorial. This tutorial explains how to manually input commands and how to execute partial command queues before the ATB gauge is full. We've been using this throughout the game, but I will still read this, I guess. If you wish to manually enter commands in battle, first choose abilities to display the list of actions at your disposal. Choose abilities with the D-pad and then press X to add them to your command queue. A description of each ability will be shown at the top of the screen. Try selecting abilities now to enter some commands. Becoming a l'Cie extended Lightning's ATB gauge by 1 segment, meaning that she can now perform up to 3 consecutive actions. Now that her gauge is longer, it also takes longer to fill. However, you can execute commands at any time. To do so, simply press triangle. This will execute commands assigned to charged segments. Leftover charge will be carried over to your next turn. The thing to remember is that, or I shouldn't say remember, the thing to point out, it does take longer to fill, but you do refill ATB faster. So gaining ATB is always better because you could refill 2 segments faster with 3 ATB than you would have with 2 ATB, so it's still worth doing. Now take a look at the ability list to go. The number next to each ability is its ATB cost. More powerful abilities have higher ATB costs. Try entering enough commands to fill the gauge. Entering commands manually allows you to determine their order, which is important since chain bonuses vary by command. Pay attention to each ability's ATB cost and try to fill your command queue with the most effective sequences possible.
I thought they'd be tougher than that. This guy's a Psycom, yeah? Supposed to be cream of the crop.
Yeah, but Psycom's an anti-pulse task force. They haven't fought a war in centuries. Bunch of rookie troops swinging around overpriced toys.
So, from what you're telling me, sounds like a regular old soldier has got more training than special forces.
Nothing for us l'Cie to be afraid of.
Cut the crap. Their grunts might be green, but Psycom's elites are cold-blooded beasts. They hit the field and it's game over.
Uh-oh. Then let's run away. Ciao!
Wait, hey, wait! What's a man to do?
Data log updated. Oh, and it's just with story events. I was told that I am very OCD with getting rid of exclamation points. I'm not gonna stop doing that. That's who I am.
I wonder what happened to everyone else.
And notice that I'm changing targets. The whites have the note frequently evades attacks, so I'm actually going to use ruins to dispatch with it because attacks could miss. You got 5 Seath Tears. Got some frogs over here. Froggies. So something I actually haven't pointed out, but was just told to me. You can repeat an attack cue easily, and I've been doing this throughout because I just do it instinctively. Here I'm gonna do a paradigm shift, and then die.
I can't stop now.
This is one of the amazing things about 13 is enemies hit hard. Enemies wouldn't be able to hit hard if you had to heal HP in between fights. I'm actually going to do a paradigm shift to Solidarity earlier. I wasn't thinking I was going to use Sentinels and Medics in Chapter 3, but these guys hit hard. Now that all the attacks have been drawn over to snow, I can resume trying to take them all out. This might be a good time to utilize the Tri-Disaster roll, because we can stagger these things pretty fast. However, without other influence, chain gauges drop too fast. The description of the commando roll actually alluded to the fact that commandos help slow the rate of decrease of the chain gauge. Or did it say it? Enemy chain gauges drain less rapidly when charged by commando attacks than when charged by those of other rolls. The chain gauge actually has a timer associated with it called chain duration. And when chain duration, which is in seconds, is reduced to 0 seconds, the chain resets to 100%. Commando attacks, and ruins for that matter, add 3.33 seconds to the chain duration, which is a significant amount of time and helps make sure that the chain gauge doesn't drain too fast. Ravager abilities add 0.9 seconds to the chain duration, which is about a quarter of, or even a fifth of, the commando abilities. And so chain gauges don't maintain themselves if you only use Ravagers. So going back and forth between using commandos to increase chain duration and Ravagers to increase the chain gauge itself is key to be able to build chain gauges. Chain maintenance is a way to describe it. So I'm going to try here is to use Solidarity to get a bit of focus on snow, get this guy staggered, Solidarity to redrive the attacks away, and I can kill this bass quickly. When there's only 3 basses, it's a bit easier to dispatch with them. I can even use Relentless Assault in order to have Snow and Vanille focus on a single target in chain for that target to stagger. I think I still forgot to point out how repeat works. Once you select an attack chain, like attack, 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 or just blitz from abilities, you select it manually. You can hold right on abilities to repeat that attack chain. So if you hold right, abilities turns into repeat. And if you press X, it will just pull up that old attack chain. And it is stored in between rolls, so a commando repeat could have 3 attacks, whereas a Ravager repeat could have 3 thunders, and that would be fine. This chest has a silver bangle. Silver bangles increase HP a little more. I can give that to Vanille to make her have almost as much HP as Snow.
Weird, isn't it? Of all the messed up ways to meet. I might as well make introductions. I'm Snow Villiers. Short stuff?
Hope S time.
What about her?
Bodum Security Regiment. She goes by Lightning. Last name's Farron. First, anybody's guess.
Vanille.
Saz, Ch3. Good to meet you. It's not right. Why kids have to get dragged into this?
I'll keep the kids out of trouble.
Problem with that is, you're one of them.
Hey.
Trying to take on the post-Foul C. That was our first mistake. We should have left it to the Sanctum. Why not? I mean, we've counted on the Sanctum's Foul C for food, water, everything we've needed since the time we were born.
But you still helped us do it. Why is that? Gotta be something.
There might have been. Not so sure anymore.
What?
We have a people tab. And there are a lot of people here. Lightning. This former soldier was a member of the Guardian Corps, Bodum Security Regiment. Last name Farron. She is known as Lightning, but her true name is a mystery. Sarah, her only family left in the world, has become a lessee. Lightning boards the Purge train in an effort to rescue her sister from the Foul Sea, but Sarah turns to crystal right before her eyes. However, it is not long until Lightning herself becomes a Foul Sea servant. She has lost her sister and becomes a Pulse Lessee, an enemy of Cocoon. What hope does she have left? You might wonder why I'm rating these out when there's so many of them. They actually change over the course of the game, and I'm curious to see how it changes, because I never actually kept up with it. Snow Villiers. Without a family to take care of him, Snow was raised in a Sanctum facility. Now he leads the rebellious group of youths known as Nora. Youths. Group of youths. To prevent his beloved Sarah from becoming a Seath, he swears to help her fulfill her focus. However, before they discover what that focus is, Sarah falls into crystal slumber. Now a Lessee himself, Snow interprets his fiancée's last words as the task he must complete, saving Cocoon. Saz Ch3. Saz is a trained civilian airship pilot. Though all of Cocoon's people view Pulse beings as invaders to be repulsed, few outside of the military decide to take matters into their own hands. What drives Saz, an ordinary citizen, to attack the Pulse Foul Sea in the Hanging Edge? After joining Lightning in her battle against the lower world entity, Saz shares her fate in becoming a Lessee. Hope S time. Hope is a boy who, along with his mother, becomes a victim of the Purge. Answering Snow's calls for volunteers, Hope's mother joins the rebellion, but is killed in the subsequent conflict. From that moment onwards, the grief-stricken teen harbors a consuming hatred for the Nora leader. With Vanille's encouragement, Hope follows Snow into the Pulse vestige. Within those ancient chambers, they encounter the Foul Sea and are cursed with the brands of Lessee. Vanille. Vanille is a young woman who is also aboard the Purge train. Irrepressibly cheerful, she seems unaffected by the desperate situation around her. After being rescued from the train by Snow and his band of rebels, Vanille ends up sitting next to Hope and his mother. Following his mother's death, she sees the way the boy glares at the Nora leader. Vanille encourages Hope to join her and enter the Pulse Vestige, where they encounter the lower world fal'Cie. There's not too much information on Vanille here. Interesting. Sarah Farron. Sarah is Lightning's younger sister. Despite losing both of her parents, she lives happily enough with her older sibling. Sarah's only real concern is Lightning's disapproval of her boyfriend, Snow. However, that all changes when she encounters the fal'Cie Anima and is branded as a Pulse l'Cie. Without ever uncovering her tasks, she urges the others to save Cocoon before suddenly turning to Crystal. Though he cannot know for sure, Snow believes that her final words to be the focus they must complete. Gallanth Daisley. Gallanth Daisley is the Primarch, the human representative of the Sanctum. Acting as the bridge between the fal'Cie Eden and a citizen-elected council, he facilitates the government of Cocoon. Until now, he has been seen as a conservative leader, never forced in the direction of the council and always having the best interests of the people at heart. But with the discovery of the Pulse fal'Cie in Bodom, his leadership becomes ruthless and oppressive, with the Purge policy being instigated over the span of a single night. Godot. A childhood friend of Snow, Godot is one of the founding members of Nora. With his impressive frame, he sees himself as the group's shock trooper. Raised almost like a brother to Snow in a Sanctum facility, he knows the Nora leader better than anyone. Despite his often blunt comments and rough behavior, he is devoted to Snow's ideals of compassion. Lebreau. Friends with Snow from a young age, Lebreau is one of the founding members of Nora. She runs the cafe they opened to fund Nora's operations, and her cooking is one of the best-kept secrets in Bodom. With her brusque, no-nonsense manner, the young woman is treated just like one of the guys, and she would have it no other way. Mackie. Mackie joined the ranks of Nora out of his admiration for Snow. He loves to tinker with machinery and serves as the group's mechanic. His talent for taking junk and using it to upgrade machines has provided Nora with a secret source of income. One day, Mackie wants to be a reliable, heroic type like Snow, but he still has a long way to go. Yuge. A junior member of Nora, Yuge is a kind-hearted young man with an insatiable interest in fashion. Though he lacks the same courage as Snow and Godot in dangerous situations, his calming influence makes him an invaluable asset to the group. Yuge was one of my favorite characters. He doesn't actually appear much in this game, sadly, but he was one of my favorite characters in the first few chapters. I love his hair. Love his hair so much. Chocobo Chick! This Chocobo Chick travels in Saz's hair. Though it has only been with Saz for a short while, a strong bond has formed between them. The chick has no name, as voicing the true identity of the animal might trigger ripples of destiny across Cocoon and cause a hurricane in Eden. Either that, or Saz just hasn't thought of one yet. You might wonder why this Chocobo Chick has its own people entry, and it's actually, kind of... Well, I mean, it's a spoiler within 13 too, but it's also a spoiler across the entire trilogy. Chocobo Chick is an important character, believe it or not. Cocoon Society. Sanctum fal'Cie. The Sanctum fal'Cie are the unfathomable entities that constructed the floating shell of Cocoon in ages past, and even now watch over the world's human inhabitants. Each is assigned the world's... Each is assigned a specific task that supports the existence of Cocoon's grateful populace, such as generating energy or manufacturing food. The fal'Cie rarely intervene directly in the governing of society, leaving that responsibility to appointed human representatives. One theory states that, including the lower hierarchy, the total number of Sanctum fal'Cie exceeds 8 million. Guardian Corps. The Guardian Corps is the branch of the Sanctum military responsible for maintaining peace and stability within Cocoon. Within their assigned jurisdictions, the soldiers of the Guardian Corps fulfill the roles of police officers and protectors, working to eliminate all manner of criminal activity as well as rampaging wildlife. As a unit that works alongside the general population, it rarely employs heavy weaponry or cruiser-class airships. However, the Corps does retain squads of highly mobile shock troops. And the Bodom Security Regiment. The Bodom Security Regiment is a section of the Guardian Corps stationed in the coastal community of Bodom. Before the events of the Purge, Lightning belonged to this unit. Public security issues rarely arose in the sleepy seaside town, and with little trouble from the local fauna, the regiment was one of the least active units of the Corps. During long units of downtime, BSR troops were often sent to aid in exterminating dangerous wildlife in frontier regions. So there is certainly a lot of terminology that's been thrown out, but a reminder that the game makes it very easy to think that all fal'Cie and lis'Cie are bad, because those are the bad words, but cocoon fal'Cie are good. The sanctum fal'Cie are the ones that generated the floating, or constructed the floating shell of cocoon. And remember that cocoon is it is a floating shell that supports people, of course, tens of millions of people, and saves them from the terrible dangers of Pulse, which I guess is over here. Pulse is home to a lot of wildlife and general terrible creatures that would make for a dangerous place to live in. So thanks to the cocoon fal'Cie, Cocoon gets to fly around. I guess it's over here. Cocoon gets to fly around and keeps its people safe. But in addition to Pulse being a dangerous place due to wildlife, Pulse has fal'Cie, which don't like Cocoon. The Pulse fal'Cie are those who want to destroy Cocoon, or at least allegedly want to destroy Cocoon, according to everything we've seen so far. fal'Cie, whether they're Pulsion or Cocoon, can assign lis'Cie. Pulse lis'Cie are the soldiers of Pulse fal'Cie that use magic to take care of their job. And unfortunately, at the start of this chapter, we found out that our party has been branded Pulse lis'Cie, so we are now soldiers of Pulse, despite being Cocoon citizens. And apparently our mission is to take out Cocoon. Or is it? That's what some of us are in denial about right now, namely Snow. But there are Cocoon lis'Cie. We haven't seen any yet, but there are Cocoon lis'Cie. But fal'Cie are the generals, lis'Cie are the soldiers for the corresponding armies, is the way to remember that. Some of these people descriptions, namely of Godot, Lebro, Maki, and Yuge, these characters don't actually matter at this point. They were just a part of Snow's Nora regime. Nora regiment? Nora group? Nora is the group that Snow was in charge of. A rebellious group of youths, but still a good group of youths. But Hope bears a grudge against Snow, and that's going to matter. Yeah. So, and again, we are on day 13. We haven't seen much of the previous days, but this will get filled in over the course of the game. Doggies.
Survivors.
Former doggies. Over here is a treasure ball containing a phoenix down. I haven't really been admiring the landscape here, but this is one of the most beautiful areas of the game, just because it's all blue and crystal, and
Don't sweat it.
I don't know, I just like it. Above us is actually the hanging edge, I believe. Although I don't see any of the highways, but we are... It does make sense that we're below where we once were since we dropped. It's kind of cool to see like a dark green background on top of a bright blue one. I don't know, it's just me. 50 gil. Doggies. Notice that Snow doesn't attack the same target that Lightning targeted. When you have double commandos, they target different targets, for better or worse. If you want to focus on a single target, you don't want to have multiple commandos. Even the role description for aggression points out, Rav and one comm attack a common target, while other comm attacks its own. So, focusing on a single target usually requires Relentless Assault or Try Disaster. But aggression does serve well against if you're fighting one thing. It's a good way of dealing damage to one thing as long as it's only one thing and not many things. Eight vials of strange fluid. And some soldiers. Some former soldiers. This chest has a Magician's Mark. So that is a new accessory. Increases magic by 20. We got Doctor's Code in the previous chapter, by the way, at the very end of the chapter. Doctor's Code doubles the restorative effects of potions. I haven't used it yet, but it is really, really good, especially early on in the game. So, let's just run ahead.
Sarah! Sarah. I'll get you out of there. Thanks.
This is goodbye.
Lightning! You're just gonna leave her?
Psycom will be here soon. If they find us, we're all dead. You think Sarah'd want that? You think you know how she feels?
If I leave her, then I'll never know. We'll be fine. I can handle anything they throw at us. No one will die. I'll protect Sarah and Cocoon.
Does she look protected to you?
I can save her!
What can you possibly do?
Whatever it takes! Ooh, me. You two are hopeless. You just can't admit it. You want to stay as much as he does. Huh? Whoa, whoa! No, no! No, no, no! Not now!
So this seems like a boss battle. Paradigm System Tutorial. The enemy that stands before you has vast reserves of HP. This tutorial explains how to employ paradigms effectively to stagger it so you can deal extra damage and defeat it quickly. An offensive paradigm like Relentless Assault allows you to concentrate the party's attacks on a single enemy and quickly stagger it. Stop those attacks, and the chain bonus you worked so hard to build will begin to fall. As a result, it may seem like a good idea to stick with Relentless Assault for the entire battle. However, this enemy's powerful attacks are capable of reducing your party's HP to dangerous levels. If any of your party members take too much damage, shift to a paradigm like Solidarity that contains a medic and heal your characters before they are knocked out. Avoid using a defensive paradigm for too long, though. Avoid using a defensive paradigm for too long. The longer you use it, the lower your chain bonus will fall, and the harder it will be to stagger your opponents. That's not actually the reason to avoid using defensive paradigms, but anyway. Pay close attention to both your party's HP and the enemy's chain gauge, shifting paradigms as needed. For the time being, your best bet is a paradigm composed of commandos and ravagers like Relentless Assault. Focus on driving up your chain bonus until your party has taken significant damage, then shift to Solidarity to recover. As soon as everyone has been healed, shift back to offense. The goal is to stagger your enemy as quickly as possible, so do your shifting efficiently without giving its chain bonus a chance to recover. I don't think that's actually a good strategy for this fight, but anyway. Something that hasn't been pointed out yet are the techniques. If I do Libra, actually before I even do Libra, we see that there is no intel on this enemy. Actually, we see that it has 32,400 HP and is level 60. What does level mean, you might ask? I will talk about that much later on, probably, if I care to. It doesn't actually matter too much. It doesn't represent anything useful. I mean, it does, but not anything that's immediately useful. But 32,400 HP, but no other intel. If I use Libra, then this screen starts getting filled out. There's actually some information that we don't know yet, the common drop as well as its notes. But we know that it's weak to thunder and water, which might mean that it's a good idea to use thunder and water spells. Lightning has thunder, so that's good. Vanille has arrow, which is normal, and Snow has ice, which is normal. So the only thing that would be useful would be the thunder spell. But I don't know. They said I have to worry about my HP in this fight, but I'm not going to worry about it. Uh-oh, Crystal Rain. That sounds like a bad attack. Oh. Ow.
I can't stop now.
That hurt. Alright, well. Looked like that attack did like 178 damage. But lightning only has 300 HP. How am I supposed to survive that? Well, let's give her more HP. Let's give her the silver bangle. Maybe that's good enough. 400 HP is enough.
I wonder what else is down here.
I'm gonna skip the cutscene. We already watched it. I'm gonna skip this tutorial because we've already seen it. So 210, I should survive this now. See, I survived it. Oh. What, is a two-part attack?
Can't stop now.
Damn it. Alright, well. Let's try this again. Maybe I should heal.
Stay sharp.
What? Vanille died? I'm actually doing this on purpose, if you haven't noticed. If you thought I was serious, then you're terrible at telling jokes. But I'm going to do a few changes here because of reasons. I'm actually going to give Lightning a doctor's code. I'm going to give Vanille a magician's mark. And I'm going to develop summon the Crystarium, but not for HP. I unfortunately cannot get this water, and I didn't expect to. But I can get Power Chain, but that's not really that important. There's not really anything of note else that I can get. I'm going to get Snow's Fringe Word over here. I really should start talking about abilities as I learn them. So I'm going to go back to Lightning for a second. We just picked up Power Chain. Bolster attack or ruin at head of attack queue when target's chain gauge is empty. Power Chain is an ability that sounds like it's great for chaining, but is actually great for adding chain duration. What this does is it adds 10 seconds to the chain duration with an opening attack or ruin, provided that the target has no chain. Which means that it's great to start a chaining sequence with. You can get chain duration immediately and easily if you start with Power Chain. Power Chain is an example of one of many automatic abilities. If I take a look at abilities here, Lightning has now learned Auto Chain. It doesn't cost ATB because it is automatic. If Lightning uses attack or ruin at the start of an attack chain, when the target's chain gauge is empty, it will automatically be used, and you'll see the word Power Chain appear on screen. So thankfully, you don't need to select Power Chain and use it when it's appropriate. The game will do it for you. Snow, I'm going to pick up Fringe Word, or I already did pick up Fringe Word. Reduce damage to nearby allies when you are the target of an area attack. Fringe Word is an ability that is really great when used with Sentinels. I'm still going to avoid talking about Sentinels and Medics, or at least I'll try to, but Fringe Word will help reduce the damage that Crystal Rain does, because this will reduce the damage to Vanille and Lightning, and with this and general Sentinel abilities, we'll be able to survive Crystal Rain more easily. Certainly the other abilities that we have seen here I probably could explain, but all of them are pretty straightforward, except for the Sentinel ones, which I'm not going to talk about. But I'm giving Lightning a doctor's code because this will double the restorative effect of potions, meaning I don't need medics. I have potions. I'm going to teach Vanille Water, which will work well with her 70 magic. There's no other ability to learn, and that's all that I'm really looking out for right now. I'm gonna go pick up these nodes, though. I believe Snow can pick up all of these. And he has. So Snow's Crystarium is maxed. This is as high as Snow's stats can be for the time being. Since I don't need Vanille to be a medic, I'm going to turn Solidarity from being Commando Sentinel Medic to Commando Sentinel Ravager, turning it into Delta Attack. Sen draws enemy aggression, while Com and Rav attack a common target. In fact, I think I'm going to turn this into Mystic Tower instead. Ravs combine their attacks, while Sen protects them from dangerous enemies. I believe these paradigms will let me take down the Manasvin Warmech. You don't believe me? Let's see. The fight will start the same as I was doing it previously. But you can see now, because I did that quickly, there's a power chain on screen. Mystic Tower. My doctor's code will fully heal us all. Okay, I was trying not to do that, honestly. That was not a retry because I failed the fight. I'm retrying it in order to demonstrate the power of Fringe Word. So I'm going to put this back to Delta Attack. So now this Crystal Rain attack is going to go off. And it's doing far less damage than it did previously, thanks to the combination of Fringe Word and Sentinel abilities. Now the enemy's already staggered, but you'll see that I'm sticking in a Tri-Disaster roll. Chain gauge is now up to 487%. So my attacks are doing 5 times base damage. Snow's low on health, so I'm going to throw another potion. Don't underestimate the values of potions in Chapter 3. Don't hoard them for an emergency because they actually go down in value as the game goes on. Doctor's codes and potions in Chapter 3 will basically full heal your party for free, so you don't need medics, which is why I don't want to use medics.
You're leaving?
We want to help Sarah too. But without tools, we could be digging for days. The army's on our trail. So for now, we gotta keep moving. For now.
So I just abandoned her and saved myself?
What about your focus? What happened to banding together and saving the world? Isn't that what you promised? Now you want to forget it all and die right here? Snow, you're nothing but talk.
Lightning! I'll do whatever it takes. I'll finish this focus and keep Sarah safe. That's my promise.
Great job so far.
Stay out of trouble.
You too.
Get going.
But...
Later.
Okay.
Snow...
Save it for next time, kiddo. You'll get left behind.
But...
It's okay, Hope. Light'll take care of you. We'll meet again.
yeah. Count on it.
I'll get you out of there.
Count on it.
Our battle team has changed. Snow is left, Saz is in. So before I talk about anything else, let's just clean this up. Oops. Status effects are popping up here for no reason, because they are not actually relevant. So just a little bit to talk about with the previous fight. What I did in that previous fight, the mock situation that I showed you, where I lost, tried something different, lost, tried something different. That's how you really should approach this game. If you die in a fight, don't take it as the game being awful, but take it as a sign that your strategy didn't work and it needs some tuning. If you run into the fight repeatedly, doing the same thing, hoping that it will eventually win, that is not the way to play this game. You really need to fine-tune your strategies in order to play effectively, and the more that you tinker and experiment, the less likely it is that you'll repeatedly die. If you use the same paradigm deck and same party and same equipment and same accessories and whatnot, you will generally keep dying to the same fights, and you'll generally feel like it's the game's fault, when really it is more your fault for not recognizing that what you're doing isn't working and having to change it up. Anyway, we have Saz, which means that we have different paradigms. The game starts us off with Relentless Assault and Diversity. It's actually similar to what we had with Snow, except instead of a Solidarity, you have a Diversity. Common Rav coordinate attacks, while Med supports with healing. Now, I don't need a Diversity, because I don't need Lightning's medic, or I don't need Vanille's medic, but let's just stick with that. And let's see what other paradigms we can come up with. Lightning has 2 roles, Commando and Ravager. Vanille has 2 roles, Ravager and Medic. Saz has 1 role, Ravager. How many possible paradigms can one come up with at this point in the game? Did you say 4? The answer is 4. 2 of the roles are Relentless Assault and Diversity. The other 2 roles are Tri-Disaster, which we've seen before, and Thaumaturgy, which we haven't. Med heals, while Ravs combine their attacks against a common target. These are the only 4 possible paradigms we can have at this point of the game. And so it might make sense to set up these 4, since after all, we can't make any more than that without being redundant, and we can't... I mean, we might as well have these medic paradigms, even though I said we can heal with potions. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to make 2 Relentless Assaults, and I'm going to make 2 Tri-Disasters. Because I want to. You might wonder why I'm doing that. We'll see. Let's take a look at Saz's Crystarium here. He gets HP plus 30, Magic plus 7, Strength plus 7, and then a choice. And he could pick up Flame Strike, which physically attacks target for fire damage. Since his only current ability is fire, it might make sense to want to augment it with Flame Strike, so that he could choose between a fire spell or a fire attack against his targets. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm going to grab these 3 nodes. I'm going to stop there, because I don't want to pick up Flame Strike. Part of the reason that I'm not picking up Flame Strike is that it will make his AI wonky. It will make him want to alternate between fire and Flame Strike and fire, which is pretty slow animation-wise. It's better to stick with fire for the time being. Lightning can go and pick up this other ability here, Life Siphon. Recharge 1 ATB gauge segment upon slaying target. This will be really nice and handy when we're fighting against many things that can die quickly. Lightning will be able to regain ATB very quickly when the commando roll. This is again an auto ability, so I don't need to manually select Life Siphon to use it. It will automatically take place once a target is killed by lightning. Also, I talked about Libra, and I didn't really get a chance to talk about it too much, but there are techniques. Techniques are different than abilities. In fact, there's a tutorial coming up, in fact, that will describe techniques. Techniques are different than other abilities in that you can use them in any role. You can use them as a commando, a ravager, a sentinel, a medic, or other ones. The only technique we have right now is Libra. Reveal partial status information on target. We use Libra in order to get information on the Manasvan Warmech. We used this in order to reveal the water weakness so that Vanille used water instead of arrow for more damage. This also had a side effect of revealing physical and magical resistance info. You might have noticed that originally both Snow and Lightning, if Lightning used auto battle, started with Ruin and then did attacks. Commandos will do this if they don't know physical or magic resistances in an effort to try to learn that information. If you Libra the enemy, however, they will see that they are normal to physical and magical abilities in this case, at which point commandos will prioritize the attacks that will do more damage, in this case the physical ones because their strength stats were higher than their magic stats. But until that point, they are going to take a guess and alternate between, or they'll lead a queue with a different ability than the one that they guess would do better in order to try to learn more info.
Maybe we shouldn't have left him on his own.
So all we can do is pray he makes it out.
I got the preemptive strike here. So, having multiple of a same paradigm allows me to paradigm shift between the same paradigm. You might wonder what the point of that is, but there's actually a mechanic in this game called ATB refresh that the game doesn't ever explicitly point out. But every 12 seconds after your last ATB refresh, you can do a paradigm shift and it will freely top over everyone's ATB gauges, giving everyone a refresh on their ATB. In some situations, it is faster to trigger the ATB refresh by shifting between duplicate paradigms than it would be to wait for the ATB to charge manually.
Hope Snow's okay.
This item is 6 vials of strange fluid. Got a Deceptisol from that fight. Deceptisols are at a 8% drop chance, or at least Shrouds in general are at an 8% drop chance now, as opposed to Chapter 2 where it was 12%. If I got 0 stars, I would be able to increase that chance to 48%. This chest has 240 gil. This chest has Den Abdullers, which I'm going to equip on Saz. The Den Abdullers, despite their lack of special functions, these weapons are favored by many for their simple and sturdy design. The weapon descriptions in this game tend to be pretty inaccurate, because it says despite their lack of special functions, but it's actually a decent weapon. In fact, it's one of Saz's best magic weapons. And I'm going to get it equipped because it will give Saz 10 more magic points. Since his only ability is fire, which is magical, we're going to give him a magic boost. Also, since I guess we have Saz in our party, I should give him some sort of equipment. I'm going to take the Doctor's Coat off of Lightning. I like the power wristband on her, and I'm going to give Saz a silver bangle. Because that's the best thing we can put on him. It is certainly weird that Saz, who in the previous chapter was shooting his guns, now lacks the ability to shoot his guns. He will actually relearn, quote unquote, how to shoot his guns in a later chapter. He could learn how to shoot them if I taught him Flame Strike, but I'm gonna avoid that for the time being.
It's only scary if you look down. You should close your eyes.
This is a preemptive strike. And we have a new enemy called Bloodfang Bass. These guys are actually much weaker, but do hit hard. So they are weaker HP-wise because they have much lower HP totals.
Just stay out of my way.
In fact, all of them died, but this Brescian Bass still exists. I lost the chain gauge on the Bloodfang Basses, but their HPs are so low that I don't need them to be staggered. This item is 6 vials of enigmatic fluid. You might wonder what all of these random items are for, these components. The game actually talked earlier about how you can sell these items to get gil, but I'm not going to do that for the time being because I don't need to buy anything from the shop. Although I should actually investigate the shop because it said we did see a shop update appear on screen at one point, so I should check out the shop to show what new items are there. But in order to do that, I need to find a save point, which is just after this bridge.
Words won't change anything.
This chest has 7 wicked fangs. And then this bridge.
Dead end, huh?
Hey! Lightning! Over here!
This thing's a wreck. I don't think we can use it.
You don't actually have to trigger that cutscene in order to investigate the wreckage, but might as well in casual.
Hey, can we use that to get out of here?
Looks operational.
You can see Life Siphon trigger by the fact that Lightning's ATB keeps getting filled out after blitzing. Without a preempt, that fight would be pretty challenging. Because a lot of things that hit hard. You would have to kill all of the Bloodfang Basses, which they do die quickly, but they do hit hard, especially when there's about 7 of them. So now let's investigate the shops, like I said I would. B&W Outfitters has something new. It has power wristbands and magician's marks. We've picked these up in chests, but we could buy them ourselves. They cost 1,000 gil, and we have 1,020 gil, so we could buy duplicates if we wanted. We could also sell our components here to help fund it. And a lot of these items, the chipped fangs, wicked fangs, torn leathers, thickened hides, strange fluids, enigmatic fluids, seethed tears, and tears of frustration, they don't sell for that much. They sell for either 15 gil or 40 gil. Now we do have quite a bit of a lot of these. I could sell all my strange fluids and get 330 gil. I'm just gonna hold on to those for now. My digital circuit does sell for more, but I only have the one. You might notice that the icon to the left of these items is different between the fangs, the leathers, the hides, the fluids, and the tears than it is from the digital circuit. This is actually a distinction between organic components and mechanical components. The reason for that distinction will be made more clear in Chapter 4. Credit chip is a special kind of component. It says currency used for military remuneration can be sold for a premium. Any item that says can be sold for a premium should be sold because its best purpose is gil. So I will sell this credit chip. I will hold on to the rest. Frankly, I don't need to buy anything, but now is a good time to think about such things. You can also sell any item, weapon, or accessory that you have. Generally items that you can buy from a shop like potions and phoenix downs, as well as weapons that you could buy right now and accessories, they sell for half the price that you buy them for. So if you accidentally sell like your, well, we don't have weapons yet, but if you accidentally sell your iron bangle, you can buy a new one for twice as much. So you would lose the value that you sold it for in the process. Or if you accidentally buy it, decide you don't want it, and then proceed to sell it, you'll lose half the value. Not every item, not every accessory rather, or even components, or even items for that matter, can be bought in the shop. For instance, this doctor's code sells for 2,500 gil, which seems very valuable, because it's more than what I currently have. But doctor's codes are very valuable resources because they cannot be bought in shops and they are finite in quantity. If you sell a doctor's code, and there are 3 total in the game, if you sell a doctor's code, you can't ever get that doctor's code back. Now, since doctor's code only benefits the leader, you might wonder whether it's worth having more than one. We don't have more than one right now, but if you had more than one, you might be prompted to sell the other one, and that is actually not the best way to utilize that doctor's code. Don't sell the doctor's code. Generally, you want to avoid selling accessories if your goal is all the achievements in the game, because accessories, especially those that you can't buy in shop, namely those that can be bought in shops, can mess you up and screw you out of getting a certain achievement later in the game. So you can sell weapons, you can sell components, might not want to sell certain items. Fortisouls and Deceptisouls cannot currently be bought, but anyway. Battle Technique Tutorial. This tutorial explains techniques. Techniques are special abilities used by expending technical points, TP. Your party's TP gauge appears below the leader's HP gauge. Successfully unleashing a full ATB gauge of queued abilities or earning a high battle rating replenishes TP. Try using a technique for yourself. Select techniques from the menu and then execute the Libra ability. Using Libra reveals the abilities and weaknesses of your enemies. You can view known enemy intel at any time by pressing R1. Revealing enemy attributes will automatically change the abilities selected by the auto battle command and by your allies. The most effective actions known are always chosen. So, this makes people think all you ever want to do in life is auto battle. It's actually selecting abilities based on certain factors that aren't always the best factors. Like, it will select, for instance, fire elemental abilities because the target is weak to fire, but it will then insist on alternating between fire and flame strike, which is very inefficient in terms of time. It is very efficient in terms of ATB, but very inefficient in terms of time, and time is the most important factor. Also, as I've been playing to this point mainly with abilities, I've been selecting Blitz manually. If I used Auto Battle instead, I would be using Blitz probably about 10 to 20% of the time, because Auto Battle would probably be prioritizing a single target as opposed to multiple targets. So don't just blindly use Auto Battle under the blind assumption that it will always do the best thing. You should think about what the best thing probably is and decide for yourselves whether Auto Battle will do that thing or if you want to just do it yourself. I generally just do it myself. Using Libra on this Alpha Behemoth revealed that it is vulnerable to both fire and water damage. If a character's current role has access to abilities that deal damage of those types, that character will now be able to deal damage more efficiently. When you encounter seemingly overwhelming new enemies, Libra can be a potent ally. Additional techniques will become available over time. More powerful techniques consume more TP when used, and unlike HP, TP is not restored automatically after battle. Aim to achieve high battle ratings in order to replenish TP. Despite saying that I manually select abilities, in this fight, Auto Battle will do what I want because I don't have many options. I triggered an ATV refresh there by shifting to the duplicate Relentless Assault in order to attack faster. So a basic rule of thumb when it comes to auto battle. Commandos don't have many abilities. Commando has Attack, Blitz, and Ruin right now. It will also gain the AoE version of Ruin later. But those are really the only abilities that Commandos learn. So the choice for Commandos are usually between, do you want to attack a single thing or do you want to attack multiple things? If you're attacking a single target, the answer is always you want a single attack, unless we're exploiting a certain factor. But that won't be relevant for a while. If you want to just do a single thing, Auto Battle will select the single thing that does the most damage. So you can generally Auto Battle with Commando and be fine, outside of probably wanting to Blitz instead. Auto Battle with Ravager is mostly, well, a waste. Because if Lightning had Spark Strike, she would choose to do Thunder, Spark Strike, Thunder, which, as I mentioned, is efficient for ATB, but inefficient for time. So you generally want to manually select Ravager abilities to do what you want to do instead of what the game thinks you should do. The other four roles, at least Sentinel is definitely one that Auto Battle is fine because Sentinels are more just aiming to guard. Medic, you'll want to probably prioritize manual selection, especially manual selection, because Medic AI is pretty terrible. The other two roles we'll talk about once we've seen them more. Oh, and there's an item that I almost missed.
Look at that. They're sending in cruisers. Primark must be sweating bullets overlooking ships like that.
A Libra Scope. This is our first Libra Scope. Reveals detailed status information on all enemies. Its name, part of its name is Libra, so it does a task similar to Libra, but it actually does more than Libra. For one, it targets all enemies, so you can use a Libra scope and it will sort of cast Libra on everything. Actually, it's more powerful than Libra because it will reveal all information, whereas Libra reveals partial information. In general, if you want full information through Libra itself, you would have to use Libra twice. Libra Scope will reveal all information. However, it is an item, unlike Libra, and so it is a consumable resource. So if you throw Libra Scopes, you will run out, and you can't buy any until close to the end of the game.
Sweep team, form ranks.
They must be hunting down Purge survivors.
I hope everyone made it out okay.
So do I. But nowhere is safe for them now. Damn it. Just cause they shared a neighborhood with a foul sea. They get treated like Pulse-tainted rats.
People really hate Pulse, don't they?
Not hate. More like fear. Tens of millions of people, all scared of Pulse boogeymen. They'd be shaking in their beds every night if they knew that Lassie like us were around.
But they purged that entire town.
It's crazy, I know. But the Sanctum Foul Sea did nothing to stop it. Up until now, Eden's always stepped in to correct their errors in judgment. Guess humans aren't worth the effort. Figure they'll let us just kill each other off.
Lassie are not human.
Listen, you, that's enough. We're still alive. That's something.
What?
Where is it?
I don't know.
There. They're sealing off the area. They're trying to trap the stragglers. We gotta get moving before we're caught in the net.
The Foul Sea Eden. The namesake of Cocoon's capital, this Foul Sea directs the others of its kind who support the world's day-to-day existence. While Cocoon's other Foul Sea do not communicate with humans, Eden does. Presiding over the Sanctum's otherwise human administration, the Foul Sea is known to issue orders to the Primarch and step in to correct political gaffes on occasion. As the sole operational nexus leaking untold numbers of Foul Sea, it is not unthinkable that the loss of Eden could spell the end of Cocoon itself. So Eden is a Cocoon Foul Sea, meaning it's a good guy. So it's one of the generals of Cocoon, this superhuman entity that actually helps direct Cocoon society. We are getting information on elemental damage and resistance, Libra and other techniques, and then just to clear these up. So these are new enemies, so I want to avoid using auto battle The alternative is I could use a Libra, but you don't have to use a Libra every time you see a new enemy. Especially when things go down quickly, you don't need to use Libra. It will fill in automatically at the conclusion of a fight. Oh, and well, it will fill in over the course of the fight. It will also fill in automatically after the fight. For instance, the SciComm tracker, we already, well, we don't have that much information, I guess. We do see normal to fire, normal to ice. This chest has 2 digital circuits.
Too bad that's all busted up. Sure would make things easier.
So, a good way to pause the action while not really pausing the game is to press R1 to pull up the Libra screen. This will let you take a look across all of the enemies in the fight. For instance, we have these 2 SciComm trackers that we've seen previously, and we currently only know that they're normal to fire and ice. We also have this new enemy, the SciComm Ranger. Now, you'll notice that these enemies look similar to previous enemies, namely ones from Chapter 1. And you might assume that they will have similar mechanics to their previous entities, and that is correct. You can take a look at their sort of structure, I guess, to know how they generally behave. And you might recall from previous dealings with enemies like this that the trackers tend to have more HP and tend to go up in your face. The Rangers tend to have lower HP but tend to stick back. We could take out the Ranger probably faster than we can take out the trackers. So I might want to target the Ranger first. And since he tends to hold back, I'm probably not going to blitz because it's probably not going to hit many things. And indeed, he's already dead. So we killed the Ranger, and now we can take down the trackers. So Saz and Vanille could probably take down that guy by himself, so I'm going to switch targets after they start attacking him, so that I can start work on the second guy. Target selection is a very important technique, and you can utilize the AI to target who you want to target. Unfortunately, I did not get 5 stars in this fight, so I guess I didn't have as much swag. More like I took too long in that fight. Time doesn't actually spend when you're looking at the Libra screen, in case you're thinking to yourselves, I lost time because of that. But now to take a look at the SciComm tracker, we still haven't used Libra on it, but we killed 2 more of them, and we now have basically what Libra would tell us. We have the elemental vulnerabilities, we have stagger point, we know a common drop, not the rare drop though. The notes are that it's unremarkable, so I don't know why I'm remarking on this guy. So you don't need to use Libra every time you find a new enemy. Information will fill in naturally over the course of the game. But you might want to use it if you are hoping to get elemental information to help out your Ravager friends. Now, as I said, the Psycom Ranger probably had less HP than his allies, and he does have less HP. He has 324 versus 1296, so he has 1/4 exactly the HP. So this does hold true between the Enforcer, who had 171, versus the Warden, who had 84. The Warden had less HP. So noticing these trends can help you deduce strategies as enemies change form over the course of the game. Also, you might notice we no longer have Sarah's tier because Snow has that, and Snow is not with us. What is the missing data log down this? Oh, Watch Drone. He is in fact weak to thunder and water. Two flasks of paraffin oil.
Oh, how high is this thing? I don't think I'm gonna make it.
50 gil. And we have a new enemy. I am gonna go ahead and Libra this guy. It's the Siconia Velicycle. Employs powerful lightning-based attacks. Resists physical and magical. That's actually because he's doing an action right now. This does actually change. Now he's down to halved instead of resists. But when he charges his gun, like he's doing now, well, he staggered, so he canceled the gun. But when he's charging his gun, his physical and magic resistance goes up. So I was blitzing in order to take out the Watch Drone. Now that he's gone, I can focus on single target attacks to take out the Velicycle. Against a staggered target, auto battle will always select single target attacks, so if you want to blitz against the staggered target, you will have to select it manually. We got a Fortisol from that fight. Good.
Really have to go this way? I'm too old for this.
I just realized I misspoke earlier. The Shroud drop rate in this chapter is 8%, but 8 times 8 is not 48, it is 64. I don't know what I was thinking. There is a 64% chance of getting a Shroud if you get 0 stars in this chapter. So generally, if you want to farm Shrouds, you should have done it in Chapter 2. 3 lengths of insulated cabling.
This whole place is crystal.
I wonder what it'd be like to become a crystal, I mean.
You gonna complete your focus?
Maybe. If I knew what it was. Yeah, I probably don't want to know.
Hey, Lightning. Did Sarah say anything to you about her focus?
Nothing.
You know what? She probably didn't want to worry you.
Or she just didn't think she could trust me.
Oh.
Apparently there's no data log update for that. Physical and magic resistance low when staggered. That's actually not true, as we saw. High damage dealing potential. So this exclamation point OCD is really annoying on my end too, but it's not my fault the game puts in all these exclamation points. He survived with 3 HP.
I'm tougher than you thought, huh?
So you might have noticed the technical points getting boosted at the end of each fight. They do increase based on your battle rating, so getting 5 stars will keep your TP high. But the max TP you can have is 5. Got 30 gil.
Listen, you. There's no need to be all negative.
And 6 begrimed claws. Now this is a new area. The Gates of Antiquity. Let me see if I can get a preemptive strike on this guy. You can actually get certain preemptive strikes by taking advantage of enemy mechanics. So he's turned around. So now I can turn around and run into his backside. I had to exit the battle zone in order for this to work. And as the result of my preemptive efforts, I'm able to kill this guy much faster. This chest over here. 600 gil. This chest over here. Two digital circuits. There's a Psychom Ranger in the back, but the watch drones are a bigger priority. They have a charge up attack.
Just stay out of my way.
If that attack goes off, it can do a lot of damage. It does damage based on how many watch drones there are, so we want to kill these guys as fast as we can and as many as we can before they get to their charge attack. Electro Kick is that attack. It does damage based on how many watch drones there are. We managed to kill them all before they did that attack though. But if we had focused on the Ranger, we probably wouldn't have been able to.
The flames turn to crystal. This is ridiculous.
70 Begrimed Claws. And there's a new enemy in this group. Got a preemptive strike though. Got a Crusader. We've already staggered him.
Just stay out of my way.
There's another one over here. We got the preempt here as well. And now regarding this item, a spark ring. Increases lightning resistance by 20%. I would greatly advise you not to sell the spark ring because these are, again, finite in quantity, and once you sell it, you can't upgrade it, and its upgrades are required for a trophy. So just don't sell it. Let me check.
They use some sort of devices for their magic. I don't think it's the same as the sea stuff.
These panthers are back. Psycom Executioner is a new guy. He is unremarkable though, but he does have physical and magical damage. He also has a high chain resistance at 90. So I probably do want to use Tri-Disaster here to get him staggered faster. Chain resistance is not something that has been mentioned yet. Chain resistance of 90 means that he reduces chain increase by 90%. So if he would normally take a 10 percentage point increase to his chain gauge, that gets reduced to 10% or 1 percentage point of an increase. So all chaining is 10% as effective, which means that it takes longer to get him staggered than a target with 0 chain resistance. Most enemies to this point have had very low chain resistances, but this guy's different. Now, what happens after stagger is a different story. After stagger, his chain goes up like normal. Instead of only gaining 1 percentage point increase, he's getting tens of increases. Which is why sometimes it's a good idea to do some chaining after stagger to take advantage of the increased chaining potential. In this case, we killed him before we could even take advantage of it. The other thing that I've not mentioned from the datalog intel, there's a lot, but There's HP, there's level, there's chain resistance, there's stagger point, there's common drop, there's rare drop. And then to the right, there's status immunities and vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities is something that we've certainly at least realized as we've been doing fights. Status immunities, we haven't had status effects, so that's not been effective. Common drops and rare drops are sort of obvious. Stagger point, you know what that is. Chain resistance we just talked about. So the only thing that's left is level. And I said that the level doesn't really mean much in this game. It does have a use, but it's not an intuitive use. You might look at this guy and say that he's level 30, which means that he's stronger than he would be if he were level 25, but that's actually not true. Level is more of a calculation-based number than an actual representation of the strength of an enemy. Level gets factored in 4 places, if I recall. Primarily, it's used in target time calculations. The higher the level of an enemy, the higher the target time will be. Up to level 50, at which point it resets, and level 51 is equivalent to level 1, etc. Being over level 50 means something different that I don't think is immediately relevant, so I won't talk about it. But the level also affects your TP recovery after a fight. Enemies with higher levels will give you more TP when you beat them. So, of the enemies that we've been seeing, a lot of these have been sort of high level. The lowest level of this bunch is 16. That's an 18. That's an 11. That's a 14. So the reason that these enemies are seemingly high level, Alpha Behemoth is a different story, is because of the bonus that they give to TP and the higher target time you get. Enemies with high level will generally produce generous target times. So these enemies are level 16, 16, 16. So you have 3 16s.
Just stay out of my way.
This produces a target time of 39 seconds. Now, you did it in 27 seconds. I barely got 5 stars, but that was because I couldn't get good AoE in that fight. I didn't have a good opportunity for Blitz to do good damage. Millerite. This is a new item. It's a special component. An aggregate of nickel sulfide functions as a transformational catalyst. Transformational catalysts are important. They will be relevant when we upgrade things, but Millerite is actually the most useless of them all. You can safely sell Millerites and not have any issues. Millerites cannot be used for upgrading purposes, unlike these other items, which we haven't seen yet, but we will in Chapter 4. But Millerites serve a different purpose. It serves to transform an item into a higher level, but for various reasons, it is the most useless one of the bunch. So whenever you get a Millerite, feel free to sell it. Even though it doesn't say it can sell for a premium, it is safe to sell.
Stay sharp.
Even though I don't have a doctor's code, I can still throw a potion to heal. And it will heal very effectively relative to what a medic can do for the time being. So in these early chapters, I will avoid using medics because potions are more effective. Even without a doctor's code. Got a Fortisol from that fight. Nice. So if we take a look at our mini-map, we just kind of ran a long way around this sort of wall. There's actually a shortcut. The mini-map doesn't point this out. But if you don't want to fight any of those enemies because you want to proceed with the game faster, you can go through and you'll end up on the other side. You can go either way. You can fight these enemies again. They seem to have respawned. I won't do that. It is tempting for some people to want to grind CP so they can max out their characters as soon as they can. You should try to resist that urge. In fact, a lot of people feel they need to grind after they die to a boss fight, but 9 times out of 10, a boss fight is doable if you change your strategy as opposed to trying to grind for minuscule stat gains.
Stay sharp.
You got ferroelectric film. So I've been throwing potions copiously in this fight because there were a lot of hard-hitting targets. We did get a credit chip for our efforts.
You gotta stop worrying, Sass.
Got a Phoenix down.
We outran him. We'll be okay now.
And 2 Libra scopes. So I'm going to take a moment to actually level up my party, since I have not actually touched the Crystarium since after Manasvin Warmech. And I did that purposely because you don't really need much of the Crystarium right now with these minuscule stat gains. But I can pick up a new spell for Lightning's Ravager. I can get the strength boost here, because strength plus 10 is significant. And now the question is, can I probably max out her Crystarium? And it doesn't seem like I can, because this is 260 points. Whereas here she needs 160 points. That is more than I currently have. So I can't get all the nodes, so I could prioritize certain nodes more than others. I'm going to prioritize HP. Of all the stats, HP is probably the more important one, because if you lose all your HP, you game over if your leader dies. But your strength and magic can be bolstered with weapons. Your HP could also be bolstered with accessories, but not significantly so. We can't max her out, and there's no point to get the strength node because we can't use her strength right now. Saz will accidentally get that flame strike, but there's a different ability over here. There's Arrow. Deal wind damage to target and temporarily stun it. Which is a new ability. Well, I guess Vanille had it. I could actually max Saz out for what it's worth. His Ravager is maxed. There's no reason to level Hope because we're not using Hope, and we can't switch Hope into our party. So now Saz has Fire and Arrow. Or Fire, Arrow, and Flame Strike, rather. He will want to alternate elements. Ravagers generally want to alternate elements whenever possible. So he will in particular want to alternate between Fire Elemental and Arrow Elemental abilities. If he chooses to use Flame Strike instead of Fire, for whatever reason, then he will be, as I said, less efficient because he'll be switching between a magical ability and a physical ability. I want to make sure if he's going to switch between Fire Elemental and Arrow Elemental that he shifts between Fire and Arrow. So to do that, one of the ways to do that is to make sure that his magic is higher than his strength, because that will prompt his AI to prioritize magic spells over strength abilities. So one way to do that is to put the Magician's Mark onto Saz. 52 strength versus 88 magic, he will want to use magic primarily. He might occasionally use a flame strike randomly for some reason. Vanille could just take the silver bangle that was there. We're gonna leave this power wristband on light. And that's it.
Stay close.
I want to look around.
Vanille.
We have a boss fight. So we should Libra him. He is weak to Arrow, so it is fortunate that we just picked up Saz's Arrow. Vanilla also has Arrow. So my two Ravagers are using great abilities. And he's already down.
It's charging up.
Charging? What are you talking about? Charging for what?
Its last moments.
This is part 2 of the fight. He is still weak to arrow, but he now resists physical and magical because he just put up a shell. So we can dispel with the shell if I stagger him, so that's what I'm going to want to do.
Stay sharp.
Oh, we got this attack off. It's okay, he's staggered.
Just stay out of my way.
It's not a hard fight. We got 30,000 points for this fight. Previously, I said the max score you can get is 24,000. Actually, you can get more than 20,000 or 24,000 in a single fight if that fight has 2 stages with it. The opening fight of the game has 2 stages. The fight here has 2 stages, and a fight in Chapter 4 has 2 stages, and that's it. Those are the only fights with 2 stages, and your battle score in the end is actually the sum of the 2 battle scores. We get Silver Bangle, and we get Up in Arms, which is actually a shop. We have a new shop, which we won't be able to see until the next chapter. Crystarium expanded. The Synergist role is now available to Saz. The Saboteur role is now available to Vanille. Those are 2 new roles that we will talk about in the next chapter.
Check it out!
Come on, hop to it. Let's go.
This'll make things easier.
Uh-huh. Yeah, knowing our luck, it's probably missing an engine.
You shouldn't be so negative.
And you shouldn't get your hopes up.
You gonna lend me a hand or what?
Clean up. Let me help.
I'm going to immediately retry this fight because this will pull up the main menu and I want to talk about something. So, our Crystarium just expanded. We can actually get a look at that here. I just tapped through that information, but there's now a second tier to our Crystarium here. There's the base crystal. This is stage 1, and now this is stage 2 up here. Snow's expansion is pretty boring. He gets a single node here for strength plus 30. He gets a single node here for magic plus 15. And he gets a single node here for HP plus 260. The other characters have more exciting expansions, but this is the first preview of the second stage of the Crystarium. On the lower right, it says Crystarium Stage 2. So I called this Stage 1, which might confuse some people when it says Stage 2 on the bottom, but this is what Stage 1 is because this is what Stage 1 of the Crystarium was when it said Stage 1. Stage 2 is just this part up here. This is the second stage. Crystariums will expand over the course of the game, allowing you to get new abilities and new attributes. For increasing prices of CP. We have Up in Arms, an electronic pass granting access to the Up in Arms retail network. This gives us a new shop that we can visit. And we won't be able to see that right now, but it sells weapons. Spoilers. We have an event entry here and the intel on Garuda Interceptor here. So we can't spend our CP. Unlike the others, Snow's Crystarium expansion here actually gives you this node for free. The others have to spend CP, so there's no Crystarium for Snow to grab here. The only other thing worth pointing out is that this is a single-person party, which is quite rare in the 13 series. So we have roles whose titles are actually the... Or sorry, we have paradigms whose roles, we have paradigms whose descriptions are in fact the roles themselves. We have the Commando paradigm, the Sentinel paradigm, and the Ravager paradigm. This is the only time in the game where, or I shouldn't say the only time, this is one of the few times in the game where you have a Commando paradigm. And if you wanted to, you could double up on these paradigms like we have been to this point. So we can take advantage of this to get ATB refreshes here. We watched this cutscene already. These guys can actually summon more if you target them in the wrong order. It's actually a little weird that it works like this. It's not like you should know that this works, but we just skipped half the fight.
What's he doing? Watch yourself! Stay alert!
Eidolon Battle Tutorial. This tutorial explains how to fight mighty beings known as Eidolons. Defeat them in combat and their powers will be yours to command, but be warned, attacking alone will not overcome them. At the start of the battle against an Eidolon, a time limit is imposed on you via a doom counter. As you demonstrate your power to the Eidolon, its Gestalt gauge will slowly fill. Attack the Eidolon until this gauge is full, and then press square to claim victory. Attacks are not the only way to charge the gauge. Using the Libra technique may provide you with hints as to which additional abilities can be used. Defensive rolls are effective against the Shiva sisters. So let's take a look. Libra tells me, yields to those who amass chain bonuses, and, well, that's it. Let's Libra again. Yields to those who defend against and endure attacks, cannot be provoked. So, Eidolons are an interesting fight. You'll notice in the upper left, there is no HP and there is no level. You cannot kill an Eidolon. Eidolons do not have HP. You cannot win the fight by taking their HP to 0 because there is no HP. Instead, you have to fill out a bar called the Gestalt bar. In order to fill it out, you have to do certain things. You don't actually have to listen to these notes, although you will actually follow these notes because there is like no other way to do this. But the goal was to fill out the Gestalt bar, and one of the main ways of filling it out is to increase their chain gauge. Basically chain against them as if you're trying to stagger them, even though you can't stagger them. There's also a note here about defending against and enduring attacks. You don't actually need to use Steel Guard. That note simply says, take an attack in a Sentinel roll. So, the nice thing about Shiva is that most of her abilities, or their abilities, because this is actually the Shiva sisters in this game. The nice thing about the Shiva sisters is that they broadcast when they're about to do a chain of attacks. They're using an ability called ATB charge. And that means that once they're done charging their ATB, they're going to unleash a string of attacks. Which means that if you shift to the Sentinel roll when you take the attack, you'll actually increase the Gestalt bar. A way to actually cheese this fight, which I'm not going to show here, unlike the Anima fight, is to simply sit in the Sentinel roll for the entire fight. And the Gestalt bar will fill before your Doom counter expires. I'm not going to do that because that's slower than taking them on, so I'm going to take them on instead. There's also a Doom counter in this fight, by the way, which is over Snow's head. It's the traditional Doom counter of Final Fantasy series, in that once the Doom expires, or its timer expires, you die instantly. It gives you time in tenths of a second, so if you ignore the last digit, it tells you how many seconds there are left. You might be able to see, barely, but I have 172, now it's 171 seconds left. I have 171 seconds to finish this fight. I don't need all 171 seconds, I'll just need a little more than a minute. I'm doing something weird here. I'm doing attack, ruin, attack. That increases the chain gauge more than straight attacks do. Also, notice that Styria, the inactive Eidolon here, or the inactive sister, used Kiraga on me. This Eidolon fight is unique in that the Eidolon will cast Kiraga on you, so you can't die to damage. You'll simply die to Doom. Oh, that is not Ravager. So now she's using ATB charge. Once she finishes with that, she's going to use an attack string, and I'm going to take it in Sentinel. I think I messed up earlier and I didn't take it in Sentinel. So this will take just more than a minute. You can see the Gestalt bar rise as I do actions that increase the chain gauge. can also see it rise as I take this ability here. And now I can press square to activate Gestalt mode, which ends the fight. And we get 5 stars. Target time of 30 minutes, 59 seconds. You might wonder how on earth could we possibly take that long? That's actually due to a calculation based on invisible HP and level stats that you can't see. But we now have the Shiva Eidolith. Snow also gained an ATB gauge segment. You will gain an ATB bar each time you gain an Eidolon. Characters can only gain an Eidolon once, so each character can gain 1 ATB gauge for getting their Eidolon.
The twin sisters. I gotta hand it to you for taking them down, but don't gloat just yet. Might come a time you wish you'd let them end it, and made things easy.
More of you, huh?
He's a Lassie. Take him.
Back off.
You want to keep breathing? Shut up and come quiet.
Bring her this way! Careful now! Come on!
Sarah. Sarah!
Shut it!
Stand down.
You two? Why are you helping them?
If I were you, I'd worry about myself.
One of them. They're still behind us.
Stop that! Hey, I said stop! You wanna die?
How are you gonna lose them?
You got me, kid.
Then let me.
No, thank you. They're still on us? We're taking hits. Come on, give me a break. Hang on. For the love of all that's good. Huh? Oh.
Next, an update on the status of the Purge. Just moments ago, His Sanctum announced the successful conclusion of the Purge, along with the safe arrival of the Cocoon migrants to their new homes on Pulse.
Yes, that is correct. There's no denying the enormity of the strain the Purge placed on us all. But given the tens of millions of lives at stake, there truly was no alternative.
Primarch Daisley stood by the move, stressing the necessity of the relocation. When asked about the possibility of future purges, the Primarch remained non-committal, stating only that he would seek counsel with the Fal'Cie Eden and weigh all options before making a decision.
Yeah, that's right. If it makes the Sanctum look bad, it never even happened.
In all the centuries since the War of Transgression, Cocoon has been spared Pulse aggression and prospered for it. It is essential that we maintain this peace. That is the Sanctum's focus. We will continue employing every resource available to combat these threats to the harmony of our society.
Meaning, we'll be running for the rest of our lives.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
who is this guy?
I mean, what do they teach kids these days? He's Gallant Daisley, the Sanctum Primarch. Murderer-in-Chief.
According to our Insta
Just
poll,
another
nearly
tool
90%
of the
of Cocoon
Fal'Cie.
citizens agree with the Sanctum's handling of the Purge. 70% of respondents said they would also support additional purges were the need to arise.
Let's purge everybody. That'll fix it. Oh, hey. Points for perseverance. A Sanctum Fal'Cie up close and personal. Cocoon's own light in the sky. Here we go again.
Fly in. We'll lose him in there.
I like this Fal'Cie.
There's more of them!
That ends chapter 3. Now we'll just about do it for today. Tune in next time. I don't know what that even means. Next time I might not be doing 13, but tune in next time for chapter 4.